I don't think anyone is transing themselves for the funsies or for the lulz, okay? Wow, that's brilliant. I can't believe it. You mean to tell me that Matt Walsh's producer lied about a significant part of their medical background in order to get and receive, in the eyes of Plume, continued care? Wow. Well, color me surprised. I mean, I'm shocked. I'm shocked. But thank you to the Gray Name Chatter for bringing this to my attention. In a normal circumstance, I would have not even heard about what Matt Walsh had done. And now I know yet another conservative line of attack that is, once again, full of lies. So you must ask yourself, why is it that these guys can't find real in the world examples, so they become the fake example that they pretend is happening all the time? Because if Matt Walsh is correct and doctors are just fucking writing HRT like crazy, okay, you wouldn't feel the need to fake it yourself by literally defrauding and rewriting your medical history in an effort to obtain this sort of thing. Do you understand? You claim that there were extensive medical filters to prevent mentally ill people from getting gender-affirming care, yet this shows that there are doctors breaking the system to make it easier. How would you address this argument that this could clearly result in a mentally ill person who's convinced themselves that they're trans, regretting it in the future? I don't know if you understand this, but the mentally ill person is the right-wing cishet here. Do you get it? Like, that person is behaving in a mentally ill way. I already described to you that the utilitarian way that rules are written is supposed to over-encompass as many people suffering from a particular thing, and it's not supposed to literally go off the whims of you and your unjustifiable fear. Okay? Your unjustifiable fear that someone is going to recreationally take HRT. What you are describing, if it was so commonplace, would be happening all the time. It would not be the 0.01% of people who detransition, but are still trans, by the way, just detransition from time to time. Okay? It is not recreational, though. What? I'm confused by what you're trying to say. This is not a recreational drug, therefore, abuse is significantly less likely. Exactly. You are scared of a boogeyman that Matt Walsh has basically presented for you, and he has done it in a way where he couldn't find a real-world example, so he lied. Okay? And now you're doing this thing where it's like, well, what about in this hypothetical, a mentally ill person did this? Yeah, the mentally ill person did do it. It's Matt Walsh's fucking cishet, dumbass producer and Matt Walsh. They're the fucking mentally ill people here, not the hypothetical mentally ill person that you're talking about. And the issue here is you think it's happening all the fucking time potentially. Okay? Did Matt Walsh's producer actually do this to obtain HRT? Or are you just trying to secretly claim that a lot more trans people are just not really trans, but are simply mentally ill and have misguided themselves, and look how easy it is for them to obtain HRT? Do you get it? Do you understand why this is a silly argument to make? Do you understand this? What you were talking about with SU was great, because if there are several mental checks and everyone who actually needs gender affirming care could get it, there are several additional checks. Okay? There are additional checks. This person lied and claimed that this person lied, okay? Like, this person is lying. I don't know what to explain to you other than this person is straight up fucking lying. Yes, people can still break rules, chatter. You know? It's like saying, this is in many ways no different than, well, what if someone goes into the women's restroom and then, like, rapes a woman in the women's restroom, okay? This is what happens because of trans people. It's like, no, that's something that can happen. It's an entirely separate issue. It's called sexual assault, and it's illegal. Okay? Like, that's the point. You are saying What if sexual assault happens in the women's restroom, and that's in trying to turn that desperately into the problem for trans people? It's not trans people across the board that are going into women's restrooms and doing sexual assault. Okay? Even in the hypothetical argument that you're presenting, it's not a trans person, it's a cis person that's lying. And my counter to that always is, if someone is going to do rape, do you think they care about whether it says this is a male restroom and a female restroom? They're already violating the biggest sin, okay, which is don't fucking rape someone. They're already violating the rules. The reality is that Matt Walsh is depending on his readers and everyone really on not understanding that clinical dysphoria definitions can be different from self-reported dysphoria. Plume accurately diagnosed dysphoria based on the lies of Matt Walsh's producers. Yeah, exactly. The damage was instantly done, though. Elon Musk replied to the thread. Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis released statements. Multiple attorneys general announced they may investigate. It's the Planned Parenthood fetal tissue investigation all over again. Matt Walsh wants to bring gender-affirming care back to what it was in the 50s and 60s, and before that even. He has stated numerous times he seeks to end care entirely. He now aims to do so by winding the clock to the 1979 standards of care first. Don't let him. We have many people misdiagnosed for plenty of disorders that can result in being mismedicated or improper treatment recommendations, which has impacts. However, that doesn't mean we stop treating people. The care is vital. People can come into the psych ward and lie that they want to kill themselves. Just because there isn't an absolute way to vent if they are if they're truthful doesn't mean we should stop taking these claims seriously. Exactly. I'll give you an example. Swatting is a serious problem, and it's also a major crime. You want to know why? Because police have to show up to your house when someone is making a 911 call, especially one that is about like an egregious crime happening. So you're basically mismanaging police use funds in that situation when you're falsely swatting someone. That's why plenty of people who do this go to jail. Okay? The answer never is, oh, let's just stop sending police to like a mass shooting situation. That's what your argument is in this situation. You're looking at people that are lying and abusing the system and then going, well, what if other people lie and abuse the system? We should just stop care altogether. And that is fucking ridiculous. Or more nefariously, you're saying, ultimately, you want to stop care altogether. Maybe you don't, but Matt Walsh certainly does. But you have been sucked into his perspective. You've been sucked into his argument. And now you're advocating alongside of him to re-roll trans care back to pre-existing conditions that were actually not good. Do you understand why people are correctly yelling at you? Clearly, the rigorous checks are not firmly in place if someone can lie and get authorization. I don't think you're understanding this. You're hyper-focusing on the semantics of this conversation when I'm already telling you people will always have the capacity to lie. I gave you two examples. I gave you the example of the bathrooms, and I gave you the example of swatting. Okay? I even gave you a third example specifically related to medical care in the form of opiates. Okay? I gave you three different examples that you are not listening to about why you can't actually shut off medical care because of some hypothetical person that exists out there in the periphery that does not even exist really. Okay? And that the only hypothetical person was one that was willingly and deliberately trying to violate the rules and the structure that was designed, okay? And you're saying that, like, well, this means that there's no rigorous checks. It's like if I said, well, cops show up to swattings, so there's actually no fucking rigorous checks on police actually fucking handling mass shootings in schools, okay? Police have to, and I perfectly understand this. I'm not like a full-blown abolitionist for this reason. I bring it up all the fucking time. Police have to fucking show up to mass shootings, okay? They have to. That's like the one thing that they're supposed to do. If we were to turn around and decide like, oh, no, we're not doing this anymore. We're not doing this anymore. There's no more police showing up. They should just not show up anymore. It would all turn into fucking Uvalde in a case where police did show up. But the outcome would be resembling Uvalde. Under no means, and should we be stopping this? What? Under no means, and should we? What? Hello? I absolutely do not think that we should be stopping gender affirming care altogether. I just think that clearly, no, what you're doing is a Mott and Bailey, where you are saying, or where you are advocating by using a person who's very clearly disingenuously trying to eradicate any kind of HRT from happening for adults who have explicitly stated that they want to do that. And this is one mechanism for them to like unwind some of the medical advances that has been made in this regard by literally lying to medical professionals. And I've given you multiple examples across different vectors as to how that doesn't work the way it does. So don't come to me and tell me, oh no, I don't actually think we should be stopping gender affirming care altogether. I just agree with the guy who does. And I think that there needs to be more checks and balances. The checks and balances that were created by medical professionals that know a fuckload more than you do and a fuckload more than I do. Okay? And I don't really know why you're engaging in this kind of conversation when I think you should actually be honest about how you are behaving. No person who is like legitimately a little critical about what kind of HRT is being offered to people would actually use a disingenuous argument from the most transphobic human on the fucking planet. Matt Walsh is the most popular transphobe. He is literally the god king of transphobes, and he has openly lied to like medical professionals in an effort to like basically draw out this result. And you're using his example as a way to just say, well, you know, this is a very serious problem. If it was a very serious problem, Matt Walsh wouldn't be making it up himself. Okay? I'm simply saying that you were wrong about rigorous checks. I'm not wrong about rigorous checks. Those are rigorous checks. Okay? Those are rigorous checks. Those are adequate checks. Because they are designed with normal people in mind. They're not designed with psychotic transphobic people who are trying to literally generate this kind of response in mind. There is a rigorous check that I need to be applying here, which is banning you because you are either A, the most dense motherfucker I've ever met on the planet, and I've spent so much time addressing your clearly disingenuous form, your clearly disingenuous perspective, or I don't know, you're just too stupid to understand what I'm saying. What kind of checks do you think it bypasses if you fucking lie and say you've been identifying one way for 6 years and being on HRT for 2 years? Exactly. What do you want there? There is always going to be fraud. You cannot stop fraud from happening. You can't, because some people choose to do so. Okay? That's just how it works. But we cannot design society in a way that like completely eliminates every normal and oftentimes good and healthy advances made in the medical field, because some people are going to unjustifiably and in a very deliberate attempt to cut a certain narrative, manipulate the rules and break them. It's like saying, what do you mean someone broke into my house? It has a lock on it. If someone comes to the door planning to break it open with a crowbar, the lock is inconsequential. Exactly. There is no reasonable way to add additional checks and boundaries unless you think every single person that goes to a doctor has to undergo like a private eye style full-blown background check. Okay? That's not how medicine works. Medicine might be given to a patient that is in immediate need. And for some reason, I'm actually offering you the dignity of like responding to every single thing that you're saying, and you just keep jumping and not listening to what I'm saying at all. Okay? Please don't ban me. I just want to have a conversation about it. This is what this platform is for. Brother, you've clearly been banned multiple times on this fucking on this channel. This is your sock account that you're on. God knows how many sock accounts I fucking banned you on, possibly because you are a debate pedophile. Okay? Because you get off on this. Okay? You get off on this back and forth interaction. If you were truly an interlocutor that is interested in understanding my perspective, you would have stopped on the third example that I offered you. Not the first, maybe not the second, but certainly on the third example, you would have been like, okay, maybe the reason why we don't actually fucking write medical rules around people who are going to conduct fraudulent activities is because it's for the betterment of society. It's a utilitarian purpose as to why we write medical rules this way. But you still are refusing to address that point because you know that point actually eviscerates your conversation. So you keep going back to, well, there are rigorous checks. There are rigorous checks. There are rigorous checks around it. There are rigorous checks. You said that there were rigorous checks, and it clearly is not. There are rigorous checks. You can still fucking obviously lie. But especially considering the fact that there is no recreational use for HRT, these checks are apt. They're adequate. Please don't ban me. I'm really stupid. Worst, most stubborn debate Andy in so long. You can tell this guy uses a pile of dirty clothes as his computer chair. Yeah, I can fucking smell him from over here. I'm a new fan, I swear. Okay, take some time out and really reconsider the way you're arguing then. Because one of the things that we do on this broadcast, other than the top of the hour ad break, that comes at the top of every hour when there's a 3-minute ad break, is we ban debate perverts normally because they derail the conversation. They derail the conversation, especially when they are not in it to like learn or change their position whatsoever. You demonstrated that you're not actually interested in learning from this situation. I'm only giving you a 10-minute timeout, but take this 10-minute timeout to just really reconsider why you're doing this. He created this account and instantly followed you. Interesting, Lamau. Yeah, because that's a sock account. You've been extra patient with chatters lately. I've been trying to be more patient and not like pop off on chatters because I know like one of the number one things that people get mad at me from the outside looking in is people that always goes and says the aspect you're missing as well is their fake medical history included 2 years of being an HRT, which is where they would have already passed rigorous checks. So at the process they were attempting to pursue, there would be less strict demand for such things. Because why would someone lie about being trans for 6 years and on HRT for 2? It's so unfortunate these creatures create their own examples of the system being abused. Yeah. The unfortunate thing is that like people regularly look to how I conduct myself from the outside and they see me yelling at people. They don't see that I just spent like an hour trying to unwind and like talk down a chatter off of this fucking rhetorical cliff that they're on. They only see the last moment where I yell at them and ban them. They clip it and they go, oh, dude, this guy's a bad guy. This is a song guy. He has no time for anybody with differences in opinion. They don't see it. They think that like over the course of 10 hours, I'm just constantly fucking yelling at chatters and just banning them for saying they disagree with me. And it's very frustrating, but I try to eliminate those moments because at the end of the day, I do still want random people that are maybe tangentially aware of me to be charitable to what I'm saying.